back to ESPN and the Watch ESPN app. My name is Dave Vincent alongside David Fink here in Tucson, Arizona, as we have the Race for 8 and ESPN. As it looks like Luis Moreno and Abraham Montijo gearing up to go up against each other here. And Abraham from Tucson, Arizona, Luis Moreno not in the facility.
No. And Dave, our referee, is now asking us what the protocol is here. Because this match does start right at the top of the hour, 1 minute from now, Luis Moreno, I don't believe, is even on the premises. I haven't seen him.
I haven't seen him, haven't heard from him, so don't know what's going on with Luis Moreno. But, you know, it's a 10-minute call, so after 10 minutes, we just move on to another match. It appears now we're hearing that Moreno is here. So, so I guess some of those rumors are or aren't true, but that's kind of how Luis is, right?
Yeah.
I mean, he just shows up and plays, and I don't know any other professional sport where a guy can just kind of walk in right at the time and say they can do it. I mean, in baseball, they have kind of a protocol where a player might show up 3 or 4 hours before the game time. You know, some players put in 8 hours on game day.
Yeah, well,
and football is kind of the same with tape and all that stuff. You can't just walk up and play.
Well, you know, some guys, Dave, on the PGA Tour hit balls for 3 hours before their round. Dustin Johnson runs to the first tee to not be disqualified and bombs it 60 yards past everybody else. That's kind of what Moreno does. Dustin Johnson, of course, on a secret suspension. But
well, yeah.
Yeah,
okay.
But that's a story for another day.
Well, here though, I kind of think back to an old timer once told me, "Hey, you play like you practice." Mm-hmm. So don't walk into the court wearing blue jeans on, and don't wear gloves, brand new gloves, on the day that you're going to play just so you look good. Mm-hmm. Wear the stuff that you play with when you practice. Is this any different than when Luis Moreno and Abraham Montijo play here in Tucson, Arizona?
Well, you know, if Luis shows up late for a practice match, he'll still have 5 or 10 minutes to warm up. He'll take his time, and no one's going to forfeit him out of a practice match. But you come to a tournament, he literally has to be starting right now. So if he walks in the court right now, I don't believe he'll get any warm-up unless he calls his timeouts. You know, so in that sense, it is a little bit different because, you know, you and I both played Luis on these courts, and he might show up 20 or 30 minutes late, and we let him hit the ball around, and we just kind of chill. But this is a different story.
Now, you know, there are things that are developing. Luis Moreno just found out that his aunt passed away, and there's some things going on with the home life, and I'm sure it's not a comfortable situation for him at all to even want to come and play. We addressed this with Paul Brady just a few minutes ago on that broadcast when he did the interview with us, and, you know, he just had the exact same thing, same exact family member, you know, paralleling Paul Brady, happened just 5 or 6 days earlier than what happened with Luis Moreno. So certainly it's hard for us to want to judge what's going on. We don't see one of our players in the court. The start time should have happened 1 minute ago, and he's not in there. You and I both know that that same player will do this in practice, where he'll just show up and then go in and say, yeah, I'm ready to go. Let's do this. And that's why I said, is it any different than a practice match? Because this is kind of the way Luis plays, and I'm not necessarily thinking that Luis is going to come in there being flat.
Well, there's been times, Dave, we've had to wake him up somewhere in the club to go play in the final. And he doesn't even throw the ball once and just starts playing. And
he's still dominating. He's still ranked number 1. Yeah. So that's just kind of the way Luis Moreno does it. We are, of course, waiting to see Luis Moreno pop his head into the court here, but we have certainly made confirmation that he is here at the club. Now, when you are the top player, you are ranked number 1, you have duties of signing autographs and shaking hands, and it is hard to get from the front door to the back door. One player told me it took him 2 hours the other day because they just had all these conversations.
Who was that player?
Well, I don't know if we really want to center them out. Yeah, because he's now trying not to go through the front door.
Oh, I see.
But nonetheless, that sort of thing happens too. So there's a lot of distractions getting to this back court, which is our show court, is Luis Moreno and Abraham Montijo gearing up to play this quarterfinal match.
Well, Dave, what's interesting here, and you see Luis now getting himself ready. I mean, he's got his full WPH warm-up gear on, and Dave, I know it takes – it's a 7-minute and 30-second process to take that off.
So if he wouldn't have wore that today, he could have been here on time.
And it's actually pretty nice out, pretty warm. But, you know, Dave, we're guaranteed to have at least 2 members of this very club in the semifinals here, and possibly 3, depending on the outcome. But here, whoever wins this match is a member of the Tucson Racket Club. Our first winner, a member of the Tucson Racket Club. And, Dave, is there any other sport where you could say, I mean, at the Masters, if you had the final 2 groups, are they all going to be members of the club? I don't think so. Yeah, well, this is kind of there's 4 guys, actually, because Sean Linney now living in Tucson, and then Abraham, yourself, and Luis Moreno. So of the 8 players, they all come from the same club that are in the quarterfinals. 5 of the 8.
Yeah, I guess you can say that. I thought it was 4 of 8. And then you look at this Steve Cooney, who lived here for the summer a couple years ago, 2 years in a row, also had a membership at this club as well.
And Paul Brady Zen's here.
Well, Paul's living here as
Zenning.
Zenning here.
Yeah.
I don't think he liked that comment when I brought it up to him a few minutes ago, though. But Paul Brady also has a membership at the club because I saw his membership card. So he's been in Tucson long enough now that I saw him down at league night the other night. That's how long he's been here.
Yeah.
Luis Moreno wearing his warm-up jersey as he gets ready for this quarterfinal match. And for those that don't play handball, this is kind of a rare thing to see a player jump in like this wearing a warm-up jacket. And let's listen to this announcement.
I'm returning E Montijo. Okay, 0 serve 0.
And you heard the score, 0-0. Moreno wearing his warm-up jacket. Luis Moreno, part of that original Yes to Kids program alongside Abraham Montijo. And it was always Abraham that was underachieving, but had the biggest heart of the whole group. And now you see Montijo really rising up in the rankings and trying to show everybody that he can too compete and play just like Moreno. And he gets a couple quick points here.
1 serve 0.
Abraham has an underrated serve down the right.
These guys always, or have been, I would say, big local rivals here.
Oh my gosh.
How do you do that off balance?
Well, you know that shot's coming, and it's still incredible every time he does it. I've seen him do it 300 times just against me. It's just an amazing shot. He leverages his back leg. Uses all that kinetic energy. Kinesic.
Same score, 1 serve 0.
Starts with a K.
Wow, that's a nice elite shot right there from Abraham Montijo.
2 serve 0.
As you're watching the men's quarterfinals.
Short ball.
Dave, if you're
Second serve.
going to knock off Moreno, you got to jump on him early, particularly when he hasn't really warmed up. Put some pressure on him. I think Luis, Dave, chewing gum. Wearing warm-ups and chewing gum.
Yeah, I don't think Luis realizes that's not a shirt you necessarily want to play unless he is cold, and then maybe that's something you take off later. But
wow,
this is the same Luis Moreno we saw put a GoPro camera on his chest and try to get into a pro match and play with it.
0 serves 2.
Just wound a little different is Moreno.
Yeah. And that was a wild, crazy serve that I can tell you he wasn't aiming for that, Dave. He probably missed his spot there by 10 feet to the left and
2 serve 0.
hit it 10 feet too high. Dave, Abraham's a guy who's been qualifying since the race started, but hasn't had that breakthrough win
Same score,
or
0
consistent
serves 2.
quarterfinal appearances to push him into the top 8, but this could be his year.
Yeah, very well.
In fact, this is only his 3rd ever quarterfinal in the race and 2nd time in the quarterfinals playing Moreno. So not that you can ever get an easy match in the quarterfinals, but matching up against the number 1 twice certainly.
Not going to help your rankings.
Yeah.
It has to be frustrating in a way, but I think Abraham retrospectively will say, I'd rather play Moreno under this circumstance because, A, he's shown up late, and he doesn't seem like he's focused like a Paul Brady is in this tournament. Now, this would be the Moreno that you'd want to play in a tournament, I think, right?
Well, we saw Moreno start slowly yesterday against Luis Cordova, then ended the match by scoring 24 of the last 25 points, which seems impossible, but, you know, it was just perfect handball.
Handoff.
Strange attempt there. I mean, a fly kill from 32 feet on a shovel pass on a ball that's dipping.
I'm not sure you're seeing some of the best handball ever played here.
agree with
This is
that.
not quite the best display, and I'm not talking about Abraham Montijo.
Oy.
That's a
Mark.
30-foot into the ground
Well, Dave,
miss.
that's like a 70-yard wedge to the green that you shanked
serve
straight
0.
sideways. You know, Dave, I've played Luis so many times, every possible scenario, when he's playing his absolute best, when he's playing his worst, and, you know, sometimes in between. But there's times you play him and you're thinking to yourself, wait a minute, is this the #1 player in the world? And then there's other times when you say, well, yeah, this is the best player that's ever played.
Yeah. You know, some players that are so good get bored.
Hand off.
And I'm not suggesting that's certainly there's some
0,
family things
serve
going on
3.
in Moreno's life right now that are keeping him from being what he is. But you can tell here's a guy that is so good that he's in the quarterfinals with a lot of distractions off court, showing up late, family emergency, doesn't want to be in town,
Down ball.
trying to figure out how to get out of the tournament.
Hand off. 3, serve 0.
I mean, if we could all play
Short
as
ball.
good as a guy distracted this much.
Second serve. Hand off.
Abraham is
0,
keeping Moreno
serve
off the
3.
scoreboard, but he's not capitalizing when he's in the server's box. Not enough. A 3-0 lead against Moreno can be evaporated in 20 seconds.
Yeah. Well, we haven't seen him play like that, though, yet. I know we will. There's some out there that would say that Luis is just warming up right now, but
Oh, my gosh.
And
6 errors now from Moreno before he's even scored his first
3,
point.
serve 0.
Dave, we've charted tournaments of Moreno where he's made
Short ball.
less than 6 errors in 4 rounds.
Second serve.
Now he's got 6 errors before he's even on the scoreboard.
Hand off. 0, serves 3. Point. Peel the serve. Call the serve. 1 disagrees. Gonna replay.
I
that means
think
that the referee was skeptical with his own call.
well,
Gonna
I thought it
replay.
was short also, and I don't think Luis is really going to complain. I think he knows that it hit the line. We didn't have the best angle, but
Score 0,
the
serves
way he
3.
hit it and the way he reacted, I really did think it hit the line. Abe is the kind of guy, Dave, that
Replay.
nobody really wants
0,
to play
serves
because
3.
he's going to make it a blue-collar match.
Yeah.
If you don't really make your shots,
Short ball.
he's going to just
Second
fight
serve.
and he's going to scrap. And you're seeing now he can start to win those close matches too.
Oh, Luis going to junk time there, and he gets the point off of it, and that's the first point of the match for Luis.
Yeah.
And he
1,
does it
serves
with
3.
junk time over the head flop into the left corner, big ball style.
And now, after all those errors from Moreno, he's now just a point away from tying this first game.
Well, you said it can happen in 20 seconds.
2,
and
Yeah.
serves
This is
3.
really on the 10 seconds here since he scored that first one, so it could be right here, and there it is.
Call a bad bounce off the back wall. Replay. 2, serves 3.
This is scary. Now,
Point.
all of a sudden, Moreno's just tied the score, looks terrible, and yet you've
3,
earned
serves
really
3.
literally nothing other
Yeah.
than 3 points.
Short ball. Second serve.
Sometimes, Dave, when you play a guy that you grew up with or that you played so frequently, there's almost too comfortable, and you don't have that intensity and that
Point.
anxiety that maybe you need in a
4,
tournament
serves 3.
to really bring out the best in your game.
And that's when the people say, well, he has Moreno in his backyard.
Ugh.
The problem with having Moreno in your backyard as somebody to play with all the time, you're not getting their
And
best, you're not giving your best, and you're just maybe even creating
3,
some type of
serves 4.
bad habits.
Well, I think that's why Paul really doesn't play a lot of people. Paul Brady, that is. You know, in Ireland, you hear that.
Hand off.
I heard a story, Dave,
4,
from Stephen
serves
Cooney
3.
that Desi Keegan traveled 3 hours to play against Paul in a doubles match, and Paul just decided, well, I'm just gonna flip the ball around and hit every shot as easy as I possibly can. Desi said, what is this? I drove 3 hours for this? I'm effing out of here. Sorry for the internet. I don't know if that works on here.
3 serves 4.
F is part of the alphabet.
Oh, okay.
So you can say that.
He's part of the alphabet out of here. They haven't spoken since. But, you know, these guys don't want to show you their game. Paul knows he might meet you in a big All-Ireland final or a race for 8 match. He doesn't want you to see anything.
Well, I can see the argument from both sides.
Yeah.
4-3, Moreno up, going to 15. Best 2 out of 3 to 15. Win by 2. And, Dave, it's a lot like when we debuted that qualifier one-game match to 25 format. I'm starting to like it now.
The 15.
Yeah.
I love it.
It took me a while.
No, I really do like it.
And now I really do like it.
I mean, we've experimented now with every type of scoring format, from the traditional to the rally to the one game. And I really, as a player, like this one, and as a fan.
Are you a fan, though?
Point.
That's a bigger question.
Of what?
Well,
4 serves 4.
not yelling.
It's a lot of knots.
Short ball. Second serve. Point.
Finally, Moreno.
5 serves 4.
Gets a point on the scoreboard here.
You can't win a point any easier than that. Wow. That shot of the match there for Abraham, Dave, and I believe that was with his left hand. I received some text messages yesterday. He said, wow, this left hand of Abraham Montijo is unbelievable.
Well, yesterday was unbelievable yesterday.
Yeah.
And he looked like he was setting up perfectly and hitting. I mean, that's when you know you're doing good, when that left is going. And look at that shot from Abraham. Looks like he's dominating here early now as Moreno was coming back, and Abraham kind of centralized all of that, neutralized it. He iced it.
Big opportunity here, and he takes advantage.
Perfect shot, too, from Montijo. Now another point, 7-4.
I believe it's 8.
8 serves 4.
It is.
Oh. And
wow.
Abraham completely in control here.
First timeout to Luis. The score is 9 serves 4.
Luis might want to take all his timeouts in a row and just start hitting the ball around, getting comfortable.
Well, I'm surprised Moreno just walking down the hallway, but it seems like he needs to stay on the court here. This is a very quiet clubhouse at the Tucson Racket and Fitness Club for ESPN, the Watch ESPN app. You can see in the far distance, that's Moreno coming at us.
50.
We have Abraham Montijo close to us, and we have players that are going, you know, inside, outside this facility, and it's so packed. There's so many people, a lot of fans watching courtside, upside, Dave, in the gallery, and downside here in the bleachers. These players really don't have a private area to go to.
Too bad they're not on the broadcast team. They can just take over this entire studio.
Well, they could come in here if they want to. Moreno finally taking his warm-up jersey off.
Scores 9 serves 4.
Wow. Montijo's capitalizing right now, Dave. Playing really good ball.
Mm-hmm.
Now, he's also a local hometown favorite.
You know, Dave, it's a strange thing to say, but Luis is kind of the guy that everyone admires here in Tucson, but Abe's the guy that everyone knows, because Abe's at the club every day. He plays with everybody. He's the best probably mentor in the country. He's got so many kids that he's taught.
Hand off.
But, you know, Luis has that pedestal that he sits on, and everyone just sort of, you know, he's everyone's idol here.
That's a good point.
Abe gets a lot of respect, but, you know, not that adoration.
Well, he will get some adoration after this.
Replay.
Well, Dave, you got to win 2 games to win a match. He hasn't yet won 1, but he definitely looks good here.
Well, he's playing lights out.
That not called a screen, no complaint from Abraham. Pretty close behind Luis Moreno on the serve.
Point.
Luis taking
6
2 steps in that
serves
rally.
10.
He could have taken 6 or 7 and hit, much cleaner shots.
Nice little corner
Enough.
kill there from Montijo. This is the men's quarterfinals, best 2 out of 3 to 15, and you have to win by
10,
2.
serve 6.
I love that. It's made for some really exciting finishes here already this week.
We've seen some pretty exciting things going on with that win by 2 thing. It is different, isn't it, Dave?
Yeah,
You feel like you're in a tiebreaker on every match you play, but
Yeah.
the pace is a little bit slower until it gets to crunch time. So you kind of have the mixture of all the things
11,
you love about the game.
serve 6.
well, for me being a tennis player, I'm used to that deuce add type of situation in almost every game. Oh, that was terrible for Abraham. So when you get to 14, 15, it's like add out, or you get it back to deuce. I think it's great.
6 serves 11.
Abe finds the right side crack there. Seems like he goes for that shot.
Yeah.
I see him making it a lot, and I used to think
Enough.
it was lucky,
11,
but I don't
serve
anymore.
6.
I think he hits it with the perfect angle. Catches the crack and it stays down. Even if you can get your hand on it, you can't do anything with it.
Oh, that's a nice shot right there. You heard that same sound from the crowd. Gallery also gasping after that right corner kill from
12,
Abraham Montijo.
serve 6.
That'll be in the highlight package, which I hope to debut on the Monday morning serve. Wouldn't that be cool?
Yeah, the question is which Monday. How could Abraham hit such a great shot and then back it up with that terrible hand error?
6,
Circle
serve
that on the
12.
scorecard here, Dave. Montijo going to an overhand lob serve. What's going on here?
Luis just kind of floating around the court, and I don't mean that in a good way.
Enough.
I mean, he's just not setting his feet. He's
12,
not getting in
serve
good
6.
positions to hit the ball.
Short ball.
Sometimes we say guys, Dave, float,
Second serve.
but they're doing it in a good way. This is the bad float.
Enough. 6 serves 12.
Couple of strange
Point.
errors from Abraham, and
7
I think,
serves
Dave, that
12.
some nerves starting to creep in now.
That was almost a crack serve from Moreno. This is a setup for Luis. Knowing how he plays, that ball with the left hand where he
Point.
steps back like that is almost automatic.
8 serves 12.
Now Moreno just 4 points away.
Short ball. Appeals
I think that
serve.
was good. That'll be overturned.
1 agrees, 2 agrees. Second serve. Point.
Amazing serve. Dave, you had a chance to
Timeout.
talk to Luis,
First
and
timeout to Abe.
probably won't have a chance to see it
The
now,
score
but
is
about
9 serves
motivation
12.
and how hard it is for him to stay motivated being #1 for the better part of 3 seasons. And he had an interesting answer, which maybe we can catch between games. But
Yeah.
some really cool interviews that we've done in the last couple of months, getting guys' thoughts on really everything, including the
This thing on, I can't take it off.
The motivation question for Moreno, we were up in Idaho and we have to try to figure, let's go ahead and find that.
Oh, okay.
Because I think we do have it on file, and
Yeah.
pretty much all of the questions we asked Moreno to begin with all kind of ended in the same sort of answer. So whether this was the question we asked, but it was about motivation, and this is what Luis Moreno had to say when we asked that question.
I'm really just going out there every time, and I'm not even worried about the score or anything or who I'm playing against, and I'm just kind of like working on a mold, and I still have a lot of work to do, so I'm just happy that I'm healthy and feeling really good. I just try to motivate myself really by listening to music and reading and writing, and I'm actually like more inspired, and I feel like I've learned a lot more within the last year and even like the last 6 months, so I'm just really proud of myself and happy that I'm able to do what I love, and I'm just happy to be here.
And that was Luis Moreno.
Short ball.
He kind of always centrals back to the sort of same answer on most of the questions that you
Second
ask.
serve.
I think we can drop and dive that interview right into the trash bin with all the basketball. We've got some great interviews with him lakeside in Coeur d'Alene, where I know, Dave, you missed the basketball bouncing, but
Oh, yeah, you know I love that.
I figured.
12 serves 9.
Moreno could have had 10 on that scoreboard there, and that would have put a lot of pressure on Montijo. That's where Abe has been playing good right there, going for those aggressive shots.
Dave, I see a lot of guys going for these overhand drives, just kind of hitting it as hard as they can, and it never really
9 serves 12.
seems to put them in a good position in the rally. Either comes off the back wall or checks up in the side wall. But it's tempting because you get the ball in the front court and it's up around your shoulder, so you just figure, well, I'll just hit this as hard as I can, but it doesn't really do anything.
12 serves 9.
Between and to start game number 2, we will have that interview from Idaho where we asked Luis Moreno
Replay.
what keeps him motivated. That would be number 1 on those Luis Moreno title that we
Scores
sent to the
12
broadcast
serves
van.
9.
LM1.
Hand off.
Dave, you were raising your hands there before that last play. You were thinking the referee should call that a
9
lot
serves
earlier.
12.
Oh, and I thought there was an avoidable there, a clear one that was not called.
Oh, and then Moreno serving and dips that ball into the
Enough.
left corner. That could have put him at 10 to 12 into the box. Going to 15, time's running out for
12
Luis.
serves 9.
And best of all, Abraham's playing like he's been on the tour for his whole life. He's dictating the flow here. With shots like that, now 13 to 9, and Montijo desperately needs to take game number 1, Dave.
Well, if Luis continues to play like this, you know,
13
I don't see
serves
why
9.
Montijo wouldn't win game 1 and 2.
That was a great big league pass from Montijo, and Abraham now finds himself into a long rally with Moreno here. That was a screen, no called.
I give him the shot.
Ooh,
I agree with that call, actually, Dave. I know
don't.
you don't, but
No
there's,
way.
There's
Hand off.
nothing more you can do with that shot there.
but he didn't see it.
You were right behind him.
You know, I know we'll probably disagree on this, but
Yeah, we
Well, you were
do,
right
and we
behind him.
will. Abraham
was
could-
it that right there?
No, it wasn't.
Yeah, I didn't think so. Okay, so let's keep it rolling here.
This is a
You were
really
right
bad
behind
call
him.
from the referee, Dave. No, he can't see it. He just sticks his hand, stops, and
hand
you're
off.
saying he's given it. The referee said, I gave it to Moreno? It wasn't Moreno's
Yeah.
shot. What are you talking
No,
about?
probably was a hinder there. You're right. That
Time
was a
out.
screen.
That's rough. That's a guy that.
I didn't realize it was as close to Luis as it was. So yeah,
and then
that was
Luis's, the next shot he hits, he almost hits himself with it.
when he had the whole court. And had Abe not given up on the play there, he would have had that one too.
Well, a player only turns around to the referee and says, I can't see it, when they actually literally can't see the ball. Here, look. He said you were playing too close to Luis. No, I'm actually going for the ball. He's
10
not playing
seconds.
close to Luis.
Yeah.
The ball is hit so close to Luis, he has to go up to get it. That's what makes him close to Luis.
Okay, resuming play. The score is 9 serves 13.
The ball Sounded like it just snapped in half. That's how hard Abe overhit that. Excuse me, Luis. He's so dangerous from there, Dave.
Well, most pros are. I mean, that's the
Point.
sweet spot right there. Right at the short line with the ball moving
10 serves 13.
5 miles per hour off the sidewall. Nice touch.
Point.
Takes a lot of confidence with your opponent charging in to take so much off the ball and
11
just
serves 13.
die it right in the corner.
Short ball.
And now this really anybody's game. I thought Abraham would go ahead and take this first game
Second serve.
about 5 minutes ago, but really hasn't been able to convert.
Nice
Oh,
shot.
what a reverse.
Wow.
Enough.
Round of applause from the crowd out here on that
That was
reverse.
a great shot. That shot hits 6
13
inches from the
serves
side
11.
wall and checks up on a dime and straightens out. I think that's one of those excuse me reverses, Dave. You come so far underneath the ball.
Well, I think Abe knows what he wanted to do with it. Now he's serving to take
Point.
game number 1. After Moreno started fighting back there, now 14-11. Abe 1 point
game
away.
Ball serves 11.
Oh, I thought Abe had it. And that he went to the serve that he's most comfortable with, too. That's unbelievable there.
With the game on the line, I
Enough.
think slightly mishit too.
11 serves 14.
I don't know how Luis Moreno has such quick hands like that. So quick but soft at the
11
same time.
serves 14.
Big setup, Moreno. And Moreno hits it in the ground. Just about to say, but also thinking how Moreno was looking more comfortable in there by going to the roof like that.
Third
Then he
and
misses
final
his first
timeout.
opportunity. So I guess the announcer's curse can happen if you're even thinking about it.
Well, that's
I mean, I didn't know that that was a rule.
14 errors now for Luis Moreno in this first game, and it's really mostly because of poor footwork. He's standing straight up. He's not moving behind the ball, and he's just trying to arm kill shots. And even the shots that aren't skipping, Dave, are way up because he's not letting the ball drop and he's not using his legs. And I know that Fred Lewis is probably sitting out there in the front row completely disgusted, but on the other hand, he's happy to see Abe doing so well. So he's conflicted Fred here out in the first
10
row.
seconds.
You're watching the WPH live production of the Race for 8 on ESPN and the Watch ESPN app. Men's quarterfinals between Abraham Montijo and Luis Moreno. Montijo,
Okay,
who's always been
resuming
the
play.
understudy of Moreno,
14
is
game
leading
ball
here
serves 11.
14-11 with 1 point away from taking it.
Oh my gosh. Dave, I just can't believe that. I could see the trepidation there from Abraham. He was nervous. He knew he had the first game in the bag, and he
11
could have hit that
serves
8 inches
14.
high and won the game with that shot. Unbelievable. But,
Short
you know,
ball.
Dave, nerves are a very difficult thing, and it's hard for us to
Second
sit here
serve.
and judge. When you've got those butterflies in your stomach and the rubbery legs, it's hard to hit the shots that seem so. That's an
Avoidable.
avoidable. Yeah, that's the right call. No complaint from Luis. But now Abe will have a second chance. He should be
Enough. 14 game ball serves 11.
a little bit less anxious here at this point.
Short ball. Second serve.
Oh, and he goes
Game.
for it and misses it, and Abraham
First game,
Montijo
2
takes
minutes.
game number 1 over Luis Moreno. We're going to take a quick break, Dave. We'll be back in about 2 minutes from right now. Stick close here on ESPN and the Watch ESPN app.
The Tucson Racket Club is your home away from home. Join us for world-class tennis, handball, racquetball, and the new rage, pickleball. Or try one of our 160 weekly group exercise classes. Want to swim laps or play with your family in the pool? Enjoy our 2 junior Olympic-sized pools and wading pool that are open year-round. Then round out the perfect day with a delicious meal at our restaurant or sports bar. All at the Tucson Racket and Fitness Club, where Country Club Road ends and fitness begins.
Rethink what you know about this Vegas icon. Elevate your expectations at the Stratosphere Hotel, Casino, and Tower. See what's new, up, down, and all around.
In 1905, Thomas Beverly Pennock settled out west to start a family construction business. Over 100 years and 5 generations later, T.B. Pennock & Sons continues on today. From our world-class concrete at the San Diego airport to our recovery efforts in New York after Hurricane Sandy. We take pride in what we build, and we will never forget who we build for. We are T.B. Pennock & Sons.
Ahern Rentals is the largest independently owned and operated rental business in the United States. We are proud to maintain outstanding working relationships with over 100 manufacturers, including JLG, Skyjack, Genie, Kubota, Multiquip, Honda, and many more. From coast to coast, Ahern Rentals is here to service your equipment rental needs. For a complete list of locations near you, please visit us at www.ahern.com or call 1-800-400-1610.
The Tucson Racket and Fitness Club is your home away from home. Work out, relax, and refuel. All this and more can be yours. Call us at 795-6960 or visit TucsonRacketClub.com. The Tucson Racket and Fitness Club, where Country Club Road ends and fitness begins.
Back in Tucson, Arizona for the WPH Race 4-8. Earlier, we were in Idaho for the pre-race event, and we sat down with Luis Moreno, and we talked about his motivation. This is what Luis Moreno had to say.
You know, I'd have to say that's like one of the most difficult things to do, like in not just handball, but in any sport, because I used to play soccer, and you know, that was really difficult when your you know, team players aren't working as hard as you are, or they're not putting as much effort. They don't want, it seems like they don't want to win. Like that's in handball, it's like you just have to, I don't know, I've had a lot of trouble with that, and I guess I just stay motivated by, I don't know, I just really like competing against, you know, like the best players, and that's what keeps me motivated. And I look at the workout aspect of it, and I don't see anything else that gives me that workout like handball does. So I you know, every chance I get to play anyone that's, you know, a top player, you know, I'll take it.
That's what Luis had to say. That was actually at Jake Plummer, former NFL quarterback, Pro Bowl player. That was at his house. Well, Jake wasn't there. Let's put it that way. We just jumped the fence and sat on the dock there and did that interview just a few weeks back in Coeur d'Alene, Idaho. Can you relate to any of the things that he's saying there?
Well, you know, I haven't been nearly as successful. So for me, the hunger is always there to try and keep improving and trying to do better than I've done previously. But I can understand, you know, for someone like him who's won nearly half of the race events that he's entered, which is twice as many as anyone else has won. He's been number one for so long. You know, before the U.S. Open, Dave, between New York Athletic Club event in March and the U.S. Open a couple weeks ago, Moreno was 7-7 against pro players. He did go 3-1 at the U.S. Open against pro players, but you know, you have to remember 7-7 for the number 1 ranked player. I mean, that's the kind of record you see for a guy who's ranked number 8.
Right.
And maybe players now are starting to have that belief. I can go in there and, you know, be one of those 7 guys, be the 8th guy.
Well, Abraham believes it.
You know, Dave, we talk about handball being transitive or not transitive. I know it's not, but Luis Moreno lost in 2 games to Killian Carroll in the finals of the Canadian Nationals in May. Just a couple weeks later, Abraham Montijo plays Killian Carroll and pushes him to a tiebreaker at the Nationals. He's actually up 6-2 in that match. Could have won it and had cramps there.
Yeah, that's true.
So, you know, you're talking about a pretty small gap there between these players. Oh, great shot from Abe. You know, I would call that a personal percentage for Abe. That shoulder height kill. He makes it a lot. Maybe it's not the way you teach it, but, you know, when you develop that shot, it's very effective. We're definitely seeing a different Moreno now. His feet are moving. Poor core positioning there from Abraham, who just pinned himself behind Luis. He didn't need to. He had time to actually move and get right back to the middle of the court. He would have picked that shot up. But, you know, Abraham also took Nadi Alvarado to a tiebreaker 2 events in a row, at the Plummer event and then at the U.S. Open. Obviously, he didn't do as well as he would have liked in the tiebreaker, but you're taking Nadi Alvarado to a tiebreaker, particularly in the early rounds when I think Nadi is still a top 3 player. Right. Then, you know, not too many people are doing that in the early rounds against Nadi. Now, of course, when Nadi gets into his 3rd or 4th match, hasn't been as strong, but he's doing that in Nadi's 1st match. Beats Marcos Chavez yesterday, which is a great win. Marcos has been a perennial semifinaler, quarterfinaler in race events over the last year.
This is going to be played over. Referee is Stephen Cooney. First game goes to Abraham Montijo.
You know, Dave, I believe at this point Luis knows I don't have my A game, and I got to go in here, put my hard hat on, and just see if I can scrape out a win, because the kills aren't low, the serves aren't great, and he's just going to have to dig. And of course, there's the announcer's curse. But Dave, you know, some days you put your headset on, maybe your throat doesn't feel that good. Maybe you didn't get that good a night's sleep. But all of a sudden, it seems like now he might not need his hard hat.
Score here is 5-2.
Wow.
And Moreno is playing now a little bit more like the Moreno that we have grown to know and love. Actually, to act like we don't know and despite.
Oh, yeah.
Because this is when he plays like this in practice, it's like, I'm not really practicing. I don't know. I guess I'm the guy that gets the ball after you hit an ace and throws it back to you so you can hit another one.
Yeah. But somehow it's still so tiring, even though you never get to the ball before it bounces twice.
I can't move for some reason, but.
What actually took you out of handball? You went from playing 12 games a day to 0 in 6 months.
Felt great.
Yeah, it must feel good for you. But Abraham now is tired. He caught all 3 of his timeouts in the last game. He's already now calling a timeout. I believe, Dave, now Abraham is fatiguing, and Luis Moreno, on the other hand, is rising.
Or trending.
Yeah, well, that's what we call it in the Twitter sphere. This Tucson handball community, Dave, is so proud to have this event. You remember last year when we were in Houston, which was our 3rd stop of the year, and Tucson missed out last year for the first time. We got text messages from our board members saying, you can count us in. We need the stop. We need the race back here in Tucson. And they've been excited about it. These guys have been working around the clock, setting up, working the tournament desk, donating. It's really nice. It's so cool, too, to have this tournament at our home club. We come here every day anyway and don't talk to each other. Now we actually come here and do talk to each other through headsets.
It's frustrating. Having to talk to you.
Yeah. Bad break for Abraham. That would have been a big setup. It's the right call, but it would have been a ball that just hung up there.
So there are some changes in that replay rule from last year.
Yeah.
And that's one of them right there, that it would have actually gone in favor of Montijo there.
We're playing the obvious bad bounces, and we're not appealing them either. The ref is just going to call it, and that's it. Nice shot. Oh, my goodness.
How does he track that ball down? And he's still in this rally, and he wins it.
Oh, my gosh.
How does a person do that?
Well,
and then you're able to set up and hit a kill shot.
Amazing.
7 serves 2.
You know, when Luis is in clampdown mode, you can't pass him. I mean, you might pass him and get a setup, but you're not going to pass him and win a rally. And Dave, what I really like about this format,
Replay.
and that was a good call.
He would have got to it.
What I like about this format is, if you're Abraham, for example, here, you won the first game, you can't just say, well, I'll just tank it now because the
7
tiebreaker's to
serves
11.
2.
The tiebreaker's a full game to 15 now.
Yeah. If you're Abraham and you're tired,
Yeah.
get ready for what is going to happen to you, because Luis looks like the fresher player here. Like this is the first round match for him.
And now some order is being restored here with Luis Moreno playing this way. I think everybody felt a little bit
Awkward,
not
weird.
themselves.
Yeah, we didn't know what to say, and fans don't know what to do either, and it's just an awkward situation because you don't know how to react. When a player has a death in the family, showing up late to the court, and you can see visibly that Luis has been, there's tears in his eyes because when you see him, they're baggy, and he just doesn't look like he's the same guy that we know. He's a fun-loving dude.
Mm-hmm.
Both you and I love hanging out with him, but.
Oh my gosh, what a shot. I wish you hadn't been looking away there, Dave. That was unbelievable. And we will see an instant replay of that after. Oh my.
There's
Abraham's out of sorts now.
Swing and a miss there from Montijo. This is the men's quarterfinals. And we've lost the referee's microphone, but we'll try to keep you attuned to what is going on here with that score.
I believe it's 10-2. And I think this is Abraham's second timeout. You hear our referee, Stephen Cooney, the Coon Dog, who is living here to play on the Race for A Tour from Ireland, living now in New York
Resuming
City.
play.
And Dave, I'll
The
tell
score
you,
is 12.
I'll tell you an interesting anecdote about our referee, Stephen Cooney, when I have a chance. I know you'll enjoy it. Oh my gosh, that's such a hard shot.
Point.
That ball always ends up hitting the right side
13
wall when it's
serves
coming
2.
around that revolving door, but Luis is able to get on top of it.
Hand off.
And when you're feeling it, Dave, that's the shot that you go for.
2 serves 13.
This is a setup for Luis.
Yeah.
Look how he punches that ball away from Abraham with a slight
Hand
wrinkle.
off.
Clips that left side wall, and it doesn't even come off the back wall.
13
You see a lot of
serves
players make
2.
it so it actually pops up off that back wall.
Amazing
Point.
serve.
Now 14-2 here in game 2.
You know, Abraham, Dave,
14 game ball serves 2.
fast becoming tiebreaker Abe. He always seems to be in a tiebreaker.
Game.
There it
5
is.
minutes.
Take our word for it. 15-2, Dave, Luis Moreno. But Dave, before we go to break here, Stephen Cooney, who's our referee here, making his third race start. He's never lost to a player who was not ranked in the top 3.
Wow,
Yeah,
that's interesting.
at the time. That's
Okay.
Yeah.
We're going to take a quick break. We'll have about 2 minutes before we come back. Stick around. We'll get into that game number 3 between Luis Moreno and Abraham Montijo, men's quarterfinals, as the Race for 8 continues in Tucson, Arizona on ESPN and the Watch ESPN app.
Linda, I think it'd be
talking.
Oh,
Now we can hear ourselves now.
Okay.
So, Dave, as we get ready here for this game number 3, Luis Moreno, it's obvious he was out of sorts there to start game number 1, but he's back. What can Abraham do now? Because Abraham's the underdog here heading into game number 3.
Well, the best thing you can do when you're going into a tiebreaker and you're the underdog and you're not feeling that good is get off to a good start. Hope that you can get Luis out of the service box, which is easier said than done. Get your serve going. Maybe you build a 3 or 4 point lead and put some pressure on Luis and force him to play a little bit tight, because if Luis gets off to a quick start here, we could see a repeat of game number 2.
Okay, so that's what's going to go on here in game number 1. But see, didn't it seem like Abraham was able to play out of his mind in game number 1? Would you think that Abraham is tired, sore? I mean, he's going into this 3rd game with some, he has a lot more matches than Luis does, right?
Well, that's true, but I'm not going to say, I don't want to take anything away from Abraham, but Luis made 15 errors in that first game. He only made 2 in the second game. Luis missed a lot of shots in that first game, and it didn't even really give Abraham a chance to play well, because Luis was just ending the rallies by putting the ball into the ground or hitting wild shots. And, Abraham did take advantage of some setups. He didn't have many setups in game number 2. It's hard to get on a roll when you're in the receiver's box and, you're getting aced and giving your opponent short returns in the front court.
Right. Okay, well, we'll see what happens
3rd
here
and final game.
in game number 3 as you hear the announcement from our
15.
referee. Going to 15.
Luis to serve first, 0 serve 0.
Another tiebreaker here on this live broadcast. We're at minute number 52.
Short ball.
Believe it or not.
Second serve.
I like that return. And so did Luis, apparently.
Gee.
But I was going to say, I like that it pushes you into the back court and doesn't give you a back wall setup, but it didn't matter for Luis.
Short. Second serve.
Oh.
Unbelievable
Point.
little flip up there. Another point now for Luis Moreno.
It's
2 serve 0.
creativity and awareness, understanding the spin of the ball coming off that wall and using it.
Unbelievable how low
Point.
Moreno can get to take that ball off the
3
back
serve
wall.
0.
Flawless handball thus far in the tiebreaker from Luis. Nothing really Abe could do.
Big setup right down the middle, powered down the left wall.
Point.
That's tired legs from Abraham there, who made no attempt to get back to the center
4
of the court.
serve 0.
And that ball was something he could have easily tracked down about a half an hour ago.
Replay.
Oh, no. Dave, momentum is so big in sports, but it seems like when Luis gets that momentum, there's nothing you can do.
4 serve 0.
It's suffocating.
Yeah.
You feel like you can't even get the ball back, and if you do, he's going to hit the next one even harder. And that's about the only way when Luis is in this mode.
Yeah, but sometimes when he makes those in this mode, it's even worse.
0 serves 4.
Then you're in for a long day, or actually a short day, but long because you'll be thinking about it all day. Another setup here. Boy, Luis really lets that ball drop there.
Legs there from
Enough.
Abraham. And in the
4
server's
serve
box,
0.
you've got a guy that looks about as fresh as anyone I've
Short
ever
ball.
seen in the quarterfinals. And we did talk to Luis about that, Dave, in Idaho. Not sure we're going to have a chance to hear his thoughts, but he said as the tournament progresses, he
serve.
feels more flexible. He's getting used to the courts, and he just feels better. Most guys, Dave, need to be carried out of the club after 2 or 3 matches. Luis, on the other hand, just feels like it's therapeutic for his muscles to play these matches.
Well, he won't say that when he's 10 years older.
Enough. 0 serves 4.
Going to 15 here, win by 2.
When Luis is hitting the ball this hard, he doesn't even need to make great shots because you just don't have time to react or ever take a full swing.
Yeah, but look at the wrinkle he hits on it too. That makes it even harder. It's like Luis knows that Abraham's
And
about
off.
ready to start cramping, and he's just
4 serve 0.
pulling a Muhammad Ali here.
Well, he Muhammad Ali'd him in the first game. He rope-a-doped him.
Replay.
Oh, Abraham's
Give each other a
really,
bit of room, okay?
Abraham's really cramping here. I mean, at the beginning stages of it.
Oh.
When you bend down and it's hard to stand back up.
Yeah.
4 serve 0. Short ball.
Why is it so hard, Dave, to get the ball over the short line when you
Second
serve
serve.
behind yourself?
I think you're throwing the ball further when it's behind yourself than in front of you. I mean, it might be an extra 2 feet. I don't know the science. I know we'll have to get Boke Ferris to give it to us.
Yeah.
But the sports science guys to get on it from ESPN.
Yeah.
But I think you're throwing in that ball probably
5 serve
in
0.
distance in upwards of 2 or 3 feet further than in front of you.
Does the
Short
spin of the
ball.
ball have anything to do with it, that when you're hitting it behind yourself, it hits the front wall and kind of grabs, as opposed to when you keep it in front of
Second
yourself?
serve.
I think that
Thanks.
probably changes the speed just a little bit, yeah. I think in front of yourself you can probably hit it harder. Then again, there's always 2 ways of looking at things. Sometimes you hit the
Point.
ball in front of yourself, you don't have a full swing yet, so you're not getting as much leverage onto the ball.
6 serve 0.
Oh, that's a good serve right there.
Point.
7-0 now.
Well, this is how Luis ended the
7
match
serve
yesterday
0.
against Luis Cordova. Scored 24 of the last 25
Short ball.
points. Here he scored 22 of the last 24. So
Ooh.
symmetry.
Second serve.
22-2 run right now, after just looking terrible in the first game. And I don't even think Luis would be mad at me for saying that. I know he monitors this, but
Point.
I think he'd have to agree with me. Now, of course, he's
8
playing
serve
like
0.
we're used to seeing him play. And Dave, if you're Abraham, do you say to yourself, well, I got to get in better shape, or is this something different? I mean, he seems fit. He plays all the time.
Well,
Point.
he's
Timeout.
played 2 more rounds than Luis.
First timeout. The score is 9 serve 0.
But Abraham has cramped more than any player I've ever seen on our tour, probably times 3. I've only seen one other guy cramp, and that was actually playing him. But I've seen Abraham cramp 6 times now. And if
mean,
you count this, I don't know
started
if you do.
cramping in the broadcast booth during one of his matches.
Yeah, so is it his diet? I mean, I don't really know what to say. I'm not a doctor, obviously.
You see Abraham stretching here. You know, it is something that he says it's been a problem, but you see he's drinking water. I mean, he's trying to hydrate himself.
I actually think nerves have something to do with it. I think when you,
Did he look too nervous to you when he was playing?
people don't always outwardly show their nerves, but I would think that has something to do with it. I know I'll get tweeted about that, and I look forward to that.
Well, I know you travel with Dr. Westerman, so he actually
Okay,
helps you
resuming
out with
play.
this stuff.
The
Maybe
score
you
is
can
9
just
serve 0.
ask your assistant and see what
Yeah.
he says.
I consider him part of my team, Dave, not as an assistant.
Oh, I'm sorry.
It's a team.
Okay.
Yeah.
And off.
What would I be considered?
0 serve
It's
9.
definitely not on the
Assistant,
team.
right?
You are the assistant, yeah.
That's what I thought you'd say. And I don't blame you, because that's true, I am.
Wow.
Moreno back into the
And
box now, 9-0, excuse me.
9 serve 0. Short ball. Second serve. Okay. Second serve. Hand off. 0 serves 9.
Just over the line.
Might be appealed. It won't be. You think that one was good, Dave?
Yeah, I did.
Point.
That's
One
the bread and butter of
serve 9.
Abraham Montijo, too.
There's another bread and butter. Great serve.
He's going to get a second point here.
Yeah. Now all of a sudden, Dave, after being outscored 24-2, he scored consecutive points.
Point. 2 serves 9.
I know that Abraham's
Short
kids
ball.
have their rally hats on, Dave, out in the gallery. They
Second
turn
serve.
it sideways and upside down.
Okay.
Yeah.
Inside out?
Of course.
That when you turn it
Naturally.
upside down, it turns
Point.
inside out,
Yeah.
right?
3 serves 9. Short.
3 straight points now for Montijo
Second
after
serve.
being down 0-9 to start the tiebreaker here.
Abraham needs to pull a Kansas City Royals here in the one game.
Well, he just
And
did right
off.
there. Not in the one-game playoff, but the
9
actual World
serves
Series.
3.
Well, their third base coach, would have had any concept or clue, could have sent the guy home and won that World Championship. But they'll be back in 70 years, so what's the big deal?
Point. 10 serves 3. Short ball. Second serve.
See how Abraham pulls up after that shot?
Yeah.
As if something's
Point.
about ready to snap.
11
Hasn't
serves
quite
3.
snapped yet. 11-3 is the score here. The next match coming up at 1 o'clock. There's a lot
Thanks,
of
Ed.
people asking that question.
Well, that's probably the most highly anticipated matchup of the quarterfinals, I would think.
30-second timeout.
You say that, you don't know what to expect from Sean Lenning, but from what
Score
I've
is
seen over the
12
last
serves
week
3.
training here and what he did yesterday, I do know what to expect today. Emmett, you do know what to expect. He brings 100% of his effort every match, and also some great handball.
Would you say that Emmett is
10 seconds.
he's the favorite in that match coming up next?
On paper, yeah. Based on what I've seen from Sean, though,
Okay, resuming play.
I'd say it's a toss-up.
Score is 12 serves 3.
This match now hitting the 1 hour mark, even though
Point.
Moreno showed up late
13 serves 3.
and Abraham took care of game number 1 in
Short
about
ball.
10 minutes. It's really kind of dragged on here with a lot of side outs and a
Second
tiebreaker
serve.
finish.
Dave, each time Luis Moreno wins a race event, he gets the best parking spot at the racket club, which of course, Dave, not that I have any problem with parking here. I don't, but
Point.
it's actually right in
14
front of the
match
entrance
point,
with
serves
his name
3.
on it. But when he loses, Dave, they take the sign down, and he's got to park where the rest of us
Short
do.
ball.
So
And
that
you
could have
know
been-
exactly where these parking spots are
Second
because they
serve.
make you sweep the leaves off of it.
Well, I have the other option of never coming back into the club. So
Well,
life's about choices.
I wish you would have taken that choice,
Yeah.
or oath, or whatever
And
it's
off.
called, or hint.
3 serves 14.
Abraham Montijo at 3, 14 Moreno. Montijo needs to score some points here, and he needs to do it.
Point.
Moreno will give you a lot of chances to serve.
4 serves 14.
I contend that when he plays against players that have good serves, he
Ooh.
has troubles.
Great serve. Well, they
Point.
Moreno him because
5 serves 14.
you always hate what you do best when it's done to you. 3 great serves in a row from Abraham. Could have been unavoidable there on Luis, but
2.
not called. Luis
Thanks,
calls
Luis.
2 bounces. That was probably the best rally of the match. 27 shots, won by Abraham
Point.
Montijo
6 serves 14.
with a laser down the right wall.
There's a screen, no call from the ref. Abe's not happy with
Yeah,
that.
Abe's not getting a lot of calls here, Dave.
Abe raises his hand there to let the ref know.
He had a good point, and that's a
Replay.
bad bounce.
See if Abraham said something. If he does say something here, it would be out of frustration, even though he knows the call happened to happen anyway. Can you say happened to happen?
You did.
It
Glove
worked.
change.
Yeah, no, it definitely worked.
2 minutes.
First game went to
Score
Abraham
6
Montijo,
serves,
11
14.
to 15. Second game, Moreno comes back and dominates Abraham Montijo 15 to 2 here, 14 to 6 with Moreno just 1 point away from going into the semifinals once again. But Abraham Montijo going tiebreaker against another top player this year on the Race Freight Tour. So you'd have to say Abraham's starting to scratch his way up there.
Well,
There's that no screen call. You saw Abraham even flip his there's Abraham flipping his hand up, trying to tell the referee to stop play. I saw Moreno do the same thing. He flipped his hand up too.
Yeah, you know, tiebreakers now in the last few months with Killian Carroll, Nadia Alvarado twice, Marcos Chavez winning that one, now Luis Moreno. I know he also played really well against Paul Brady when Paul was here in March for an exhibition. He gave Paul all he could handle in a one-game exhibition.
Right.
Also, I believe, gave Emmett a pretty good game.
Did
in that same day.
Came back, he came back against Emmett, but with Paul he had a nice big lead.
Yeah.
I think he eventually lost 25 to 19 or 25-20, something close like that. But with the opposite happened though with Emmett Pachot. He was down really big and then came back and fought his way into it. But here though, he's going to have to fight back. 8 points is not as bad as it may seem, except for Moreno sitting on match point at 14. So he has to do a lot of scoring and do actually in bunches.
I don't know, Dave. 8 points doesn't sound so great. I don't know.
No, I'm not saying it's a great thing. I'm saying it sounds great normally, but when Moreno's sitting on match point here at 14, we're not going to 21. If this is to 21, you say he's still within reach within 8 points. You feel somewhat comfortable with the score, but
that's what happens when you try and tweet and listen. You miss things, crucial components.
You're watching the Watch ESPN app on your smart device, whatever that may be.
I'd love to have Abraham up to La Paloma, Dave, and talk to him about those tiebreakers and maybe his cramping issues, because Abraham's a guy I think we'll see a lot of on the webcast this season.
Well, maybe we'll call him in when he's paying that shirt penalty for this match.
Yeah. Wasn't sure about that. You know, I'm not that guy to be the whistleblower, but now.
Well, the whistleblower can never get in trouble, Dave. You've learned that throughout history.
Well.
Oh, by the way, you're fired.
Yeah, it sounds good, but it doesn't always work out that way.
Well, they have policies against that now, except no one's following the policy.
Well, what you do is you just find another infraction that's minor and just use that as your excuse. No problem.
6 serves 14.
But you already knew that.
Yeah.
Short ball.
It's all semantics.
Yeah.
Appeal the serve. One disagrees, one agrees. Second serve.
And Dave, now that we're on the subject, is Luis Moreno's shirt an approved
Thanks, Abe.
Race for Age shirt? I mean, I don't want to be that guy, of course. I'm just curious.
And off.
This is just for my own
14
curiosity.
match point serve 6.
Yeah, this is a Houston Handball Club shirt
Short
from
ball.
our Houston Pro Stop. So it was a technically, it's a Houston
Second
Pro
serve.
shirt created by a Pro Stop that we ran. You might have remembered it since you were there and you played him, and he wore this shirt in the finals or semis against you there. Houston, Texas last year. Sorry you don't remember.
Well, I
since
remember
you were on the court when he was wearing this exact shirt.
Well, I didn't know if it was approved then either. Still don't. You're not giving me great answers here.
Well, it's our tournament, so yes, it's approved.
All right. Oy.
Well, that hit how many walls?
Well, Luis's didn't
And
hit any.
off. 6 serves 14.
6 to 14. You heard that score. This one's dragging on a
Point.
little longer,
What
and
a
now another
serve.
point for
7 serves 14.
Luis Moreno. Excuse me, Abraham Montijo.
Great shot from Luis.
That was a nice little underhanded paddle shot.
Hand off.
But
14 game point, serve 7.
Abe Montijo now serving unbelievably well. If he can get back in the box like he has right here.
Hand off. 7 plays 14.
Well, I told you earlier that Moreno will give you a lot of chances to get into the box. You just have to score points when you get there, and that's one of them that Abraham needed to score.
And both guys missing their last 2 kill shot attempts by just about 1 inch.
Match point, play 7.
I really don't see Luis not getting this final point here.
Well, it's only a matter of time, I believe.
A little overhit. Puts it in a good spot, though.
Abe is tracking down everything right now.
Doesn't want this one to end.
Replay.
Yep, finally it was called. Referee could have called the 2 shots earlier, though.
See, if he called the replay on the wrong shot, though.
Yeah,
he
the one before.
Yeah, it was the one before, but.
Match point. Take a timeout.
And
it's your timeout.
But here's another thing, Dave.
Yes.
If Abraham loses here, he still has more handball to play. He's got playoffs.
Potentially 2 more matches.
Wow.
Yeah. And you know he's playing them.
And all of those people that are wanting to complain about the reduced point format, saying the players need to get into better shape. Well, it's tough for a player like Abraham's already played 1, 2, 3, 4. He could be 5, 6 matches, 7 in 36 hours.
Yeah.
And you're against the best players in the world when you're doing it.
And this isn't hit and giggle doubles either. This is probably the most excruciating, most physically demanding sport that you can possibly play when you're playing at the top level.
I know in tennis, Dave, they play once a day, have personal trainers.
Okay, resuming play.
Could you imagine 7
10-ball
tennis matches?
Match point, play 7.
14 to 7 here. This is match point. Nice hit right there from Abraham Montijo, left corner, crack kill.
And Dave, sometimes when you get down match point, the pressure is gone. Now you see Abraham just giving it everything. He's making great shots, no hand airs. I think the pressure, the monkey on his back is gone now. He's just now showing us what he can really do.
But this is what Fred Lewis would always talk about. He has the heart of a champion, never giving up. Look at Abraham. He's going to dive for this too. No underhand paddle. Luis flips it back up. Abe's going to get it to the front wall. And a ball there that...
Amazing shot from Luis. Falling to his left, off balance. Left corner,
14,
kill.
match point, play 7.
Wow.
And there it is.
Game.
Luis Moreno takes down Abraham Montijo finally here in the quarterfinals. And that handshake, we're going to take a break, Dave, as we get ready for another great semifinal match. If you thought this was good, I mean, it was good.
Yeah.
Luis, one of his biggest rivals coming up next in Sean Lenning, or you thought I was going to say Emmett, didn't you? And they're all rivals.
Yeah.
So we saw this guy leave. We now have a couple more rivals. It's going to be fun. I mean, Luis Moreno is now going to sit in the stands or maybe even go up and ref. I mean, we don't know how this guy's going to react here today because that's what he does to keep himself loose. We're going to see Emmett Peixote and Sean Lenning right around the corner. That's going to be an interesting matchup there because Sean has been playing exceptional, but Emmett has really turned the tide for himself in the better.
Well, we'll talk about this more when we actually start watching these two, but they've played 5 times in the last year. 2 of those were 3-wall matches, but, you know, Sean's a great 3-wall player. Emmett's won 4 of those 5 matches. The only match Sean won was for 5th place at Salt Lake City. So I know Sean really hates to lose. He hates to lose to Emmett. It's his childhood rival. So Sean's going to feel like he has a lot to prove here today. And, Dave, you and I both know that when Sean found out he was playing Emmett, he was excited about that. I mean, you know, you kind of can judge guys' reactions when they see the draw. He kind of got a big smile, and he felt like, good, this is what I want. And I'm sure it's what Emmett wants, too. So it's going to be
what I want, yeah. I don't want to make this about me,
No.
but what I want is for somebody to explain to me, is it morning time or evening? Because right now, in the land of sun, I haven't seen a lot of sun going on back here behind us in this beautiful...
It's Mountain Standard Time, so the sun's changed, and, you know, it's different than what you might expect here.
Okay, yeah, it is different here.
Yeah.
We are going to take a break. We have another great one coming up right around the corner when Emmett Peixote goes up against one of his biggest foes, Sean Lenning. And we're going to see it live on ESPN and the Watch ESPN app with the World Players of Handball. Alongside Dave Fink, my name is Dave Vincent. We're going to take just a little quickie here, and we'll be back in just a bit. Thanks for tuning in to the WPH Race for 8.
The Tucson Racket and Fitness Club is your home away from home. Work out, relax, and refuel. All this and more can be yours. Call us at 795-6960 or visit TucsonRacketClub.com. The Tucson Racket and Fitness Club, where Country Club Road ends and fitness begins.